I've made it pretty clear in the past that I'm not the biggest proponent of smartwatches, especially the ones that are fully touchscreen enabled. However, if that is truly the case, then why do I have a watch tan right now? Well, it's because of this particular Wear OS device that just came out. It's Joshua Vergara, what's going on everybody? And this is my full review of the TicWatch Pro. The TicWatch Pro is the latest iteration in a line of smartwatches that you might already be familiar with. This time around, it relies heavily on Android Wear, or what is now called Wear OS by Google. And in that regard, the Wear OS experience, the software experience, is largely the same when compared to other Wear OS devices. Now, let's start off with the design. The watch does look a bit, let's say, beefy, and there is a silver edition, but I have this black design that actually worked really well with a watch strap that I put on it. The watch strap that comes with the TicWatch Pro is pretty awesome actually, because the top portion is a leather-like material that gives it an executive look, but then it feels like a sport watch because the bottom portion has a breathable synthetic. My one problem with the watch strap was that it was just a bit too thin, which made the watch face look even bigger. So what I wanted to do was to get a watch strap that was as wide as the body itself, and I happen to have one. It's an old watch strap that I used to use with the Pebble. You have two large buttons on the side. One of them, at the top, is your main power button that also gets you to the app drawer. And then the bottom button can be programmed with a shortcut. Personally, I just use that bottom one to open up the timer so that I can go easily to 3 to 5 minutes while I'm making a cup of tea. But of course, there are a ton of applications that you can get in the Wear OS Play Store, and you can get companion applications for all of the things you might already have in the connected smartphone. I've already used the phone for a number of nights sleep tracking using Sleep as Android, and then of course you are able to use other applications for media like Google Play Music and Spotify, through which you can use the Wi-Fi connection on the watch to stream your music. There's also 4 GB of onboard storage so that you can move some local music files onto the watch and be able to stream it straight from there, so you don't always have to have the smartphone on you. But admittedly, this is not a feature that I use very often. All of the sensors and connections you would want on a typical premium Wear OS device are here, including a heart rate sensor and NFC for things like Google Pay. And finally, the watch body has a IP68 rating, which means that it can really go up against the elements. So why is the watch body a little bit beefy? Well, the reason why is because there's actually a lot going on underneath the surface. What you would normally get on any other Wear OS device is a 1.4-inch 400 by 400 OLED display, which is what you get here, but then there is a whole nother screen that is layered on top of that is an LCD display that you can use for simply using this as a watch. When that secondary display is being used, it is in what is called the essential mode, where you only get the time, the date, you get a step counter still even in that mode, and if you use the bottom button while in essential mode, you can trigger the heart rate sensor. The Essential Mode LCD display is one that kind of looks like a throwback. It's like a retro watch, and it's something that you can use either all the time by going into Essential Mode, or you can use it as a way of prolonging the battery life. One of the main ways of doing this is by using Wear OS normally, and by using the ambient display. However, once the watch gets down to about 20, maybe 15% and goes into the power saving mode, instead of going to this ambient display, it's just going to use the Essential Mode to really stretch out the battery life. Of course, you can manually trigger the essential mode so that you can be in there as much as you want. That way you can keep the smart mode available whenever you need it. Personally, the way that I do it is I turn off all of the gestures, so when I lift up the watch, it's not going to trigger the smart mode, and I only am able to get into the OS by pressing the top button. So I still use the ambient display, but then once I hit the power saving mode, the essential mode is what I'm using as my always on display, and it might be one of the best always on displays that you can find on a smartwatch now. If I wanted to get even more out of the 415 mAh battery unit, then I would turn off the ambient display and just use the essential mode as the idle mode. So it's because of that battery life on this particular watch has been sublime. It's the best battery life I've ever had on any Wear OS or Android Wear device, whatever you wish to call them. And on average, when using the smart mode, I'm able to get between 2 and 3 days of battery life, and I could even stretch that out more if I kept the essential mode as my always on display. This is one of the best things because when I'm able to look down at the watch and there's something there for me to look at, namely the time or maybe the date, it doesn't make me feel like I need to go charge the watch because I'm missing any key functions. It's as if Mobvoi have remembered that one of the main functions of a smartwatch is the fact that it's supposed to be a watch. There are a few things that I wish were a bit different, however. I do wish that the charging dock was more of a wireless dock and that it lifted up the watch so that you could still use it like a bedside table clock, and I also think that there's a bit of a slowdown when doing the handoff from the essential mode into the smart mode. If I'm starting off in the essential mode and then I try to get into Google Assistant by holding the top button, it takes a little while for Google Assistant to warm up. To have a watch that can go from 2 days to 30 days of battery life depending on how you use it and what your priorities are, that makes the TicWatch Pro probably one of the best Wear OS devices that we've seen thus far. And my favorite term to call the TicWatch Pro has been shapeshifter. You can be a straight up smartwatch user and use the smart mode all of the time, maybe get about 2 days worth of battery life and use your applications to their fullest. Or you can be a more casual smartwatch user by using it as a notification center, just as a way for you to know if you have to look at your smartphone. In that case, you might get about 3 days of battery life. Or you could go extremely on the other side and just use this as a sports tracker with the smart mode available if you want to use it. And you still get just those essential things that you need out of a watch. And it's in that mode that you can go for as far as 30 days of battery life. The TicWatch Pro is probably the most full-featured Wear OS device you can find right now because of that LCD display. And it comes in at $249, which is actually a good price considering everything that you're able to do with it. And it also comes in at a lower price point than what is considered a premium tier Wear OS device like the LG Watch Sport. So there you have it, the TicWatch Pro. It's been a while since I've been this happy to have an Android Wear, or in this case Wear OS device on my wrist on the regular. And I think the reason why is because every time I look at it, there's something going on. I haven't felt the crunch of having to charge every night or even every other night because once it gets down to a certain level, the essential mode comes on and this becomes just a good looking retro watch with a few extra features. As always, thank you guys very much for watching and I hope you enjoyed my review of the TicWatch Pro. No, I'm not a hardcore smartwatch user, but I have enjoyed using this particular watch because I haven't had to think about it a whole lot. The notifications go off, I get to see them, and then I notice that they're not going off if it's in the essential mode, and that's my cue to know I'm gonna charge it sometime soon. But until then, I can still use it as a regular watch, and it's a good looking one at that. Keep it tuned to my channel for even more. I try to do videos every weekday, and I wanna thank you for subscribing and for sticking around, and we're gonna grow together. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to drop some likes on my videos, and then go into the comment section so we can have some discussions on everything, including this, the TicWatch Pro. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it on that one, and I'll see you in the next one. So remember to enjoy your tea, everybody.